So, Nautilus ban, I understand. Rumble ban, I understand. Not really sure about the Vlad ban, but I think this is actually a good ban against Cloud9. I don't know if Hai is playing it, but that is a champion that Hai could just scale on very safely in the mid lane. So you might just want to take that one out. Hecarim, not sure about that. Balls could play it. It is a priority pick right now. Janna just for the disengage. That's, of course, probably his most played champion. And the Thresh is a little weird, I will say. So there are 3 support bans here so far. Just going to skip forward. Okay, Gragas first pick, no surprise, after Santorin's performance last week and its priority as a jungler. But, I mean, that's not really going to hurt Meteos very badly.
Gets taken away, something Meteos and Santorin have both been using to great effect throughout the last few weeks of the split. You would see that in EU huge as well.
I feel like Meteos will match the Gragas with the Sejuani pick eventually. I don't know when it will happen in this draft. I'm not sure which jungler Meteos actually values higher. He's a bit of a
fact that both teams are like.
Okay, Urgot is up. Kalista is also up. This is, you know, I don't really like these bans. I think Kalista is a major threat to get ahead in the laning phase, and so is Urgot. I mean, no surprise, Maokai, Urgot. I think that if you have Nunu up, actually, that Urgot and Kalista are higher priority in general. Gragas is good, but he's not. He's definitely the most versatile jungler right now, and he's quite strong. But it's not. Urgot and Kalista is so good. Okay, Nunu Lulu. Assuming that's going to be a Lulu top lane, obviously, so they know their top lane matchup right now, but TSM hasn't shown so much. If it's Nami, just looking for that disengaged Sejuani coming in with Braum, so they have a huge amount of tankiness with this composition already. Shocking that no one has taken Kalista yet.
Punish their grouping aspect. That's something that Cloud9's team is going to do. It's going to group heavily. So therefore, Ziggs and Jinx right there, that's a lot of AoE damage that could maybe punish a team.
You were correct. Actually, Sneaky's.
Okay, Ari. So, I mean, this is a good composition that TSM has. I like the fact that they have Gragas. You know, Gragas has always been strong with a lot of the either double AD carry compositions or with a single target mage, which is kind of what Ari is. Because as soon as you break apart the team fight, you can target somebody down, you can blow one person towards you, and then tidal wave. And that means that one person's going to be stuck there taking damage and getting Jinx resets, and Ari, you know, Ari's going to try on them and kill them, and then Spirit Rush into the rest of the composition. So it's really good. It's a good composition. Gragas plus a couple single target carries, especially ones with resets. They can quickly close gaps with the rest of the team after you focus down one person. So I like TSM's comp. And it will be a last pick Sivir, so plenty of engage from Cloud9. And they're extraordinarily tanky, and you have a spell shield as well. So, late game TSM may have some issues with this. One person from TSM getting caught out is really bad, or a misuse of a Gragas ultimate could actually just completely get TSM rolled right here. They're very reliant on proper use of Gragas ult. Just to provide that disengage. Especially if there's some sort of flank that comes in. Although a flank is not likely with C9's composition. Unless it's going to be a home guard flank from Maokai. But if Maokai does get a flank and Tidal Wave has to be wasted, then it's going to be really problematic. There are also multiple forms of engage on C9. So they can come in with a Sejuani ult, they can come in with a Sivir ult, and Maokai can come in with Braum ult.
Get it calibrated. Figure out where everything is. Scope was off a little bit. So the early wards aren't getting too deep here.
I really like Jinx generally more in lane swaps than in lane matchups, just because you always have the option to fast push or push faster than the other side, so you have more control over objectives than when you have her in a 2v2. She provides you more, like, because you can always push down a tower very quickly. If you have to.
somewhat risky ward.
Oh, Sivir with her wave clear is obviously very good for that same thing.
Will deny ball.
We're talking about balls being on the Hecarim, being on something that can carry Maokai this time. Still do a sufficient amount of damage.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get to play it that much. The Maokai, that is, only
Right.
2 times in the semifinals, but throughout the ending of the regular season, the Maokai was the pick for Cloud9 to lock in with their very first choice. The fact that they were able to just kind of get it at the ending of the regular season, the Maokai was the pick for Cloud9 to lock
So
in
Lustboy's trying
with
to
their choice. The fact that they
take a look
were
at
able to just kind of get
jungle
it
starting locations.
without having to put a huge priority on, first pick Gragas being over on the other side. The fact is,
What was the explosion right there?
throughout the ending of the regular season, the
Okay, so they start actually going
for Cloud9
for this camp, but then back off immediately and go over to red. Lustboy sees this. They're going to start for the Gromp right here. Meanwhile, double jungling starting on the opposite side of the map. So it looks like they are going to get a freeze up here, and Lustboy just being annoying, but not going to see much of anything, but he will know that this is pretty safe. So the question is TSM going to freeze? Are they going to try and fast push? Sneaky elimination of about half a wave to level 2 after taking that Gromp. And double juggling going a little bit faster for TSM thanks to Lustboy's going to peek in right there. And Lemonation's just going to walk in and do the same thing.
with what to do in these lane swaps. Honestly, TSM wins out on that a little bit. Basically, Lemonation's invade was later, and even though he stole one tiny little raptor, the camp itself wasn't stopped. Whereas for Cloud9 here, they forewent doing the
Okay, nothing's really happening yet. Both sides pretty much mirroring each other. C9, of course, taking that little bit of a safer route. Can't really tell what's going on with the waves yet. This should be pretty much just a farm lane early. Ari trying not to get poked out. Interesting that Bjergsen took the Doran's ring first. So, quick dragon.
Get this. Lemonation's ward towards red, definitely giving them a little bit of help to make sure nobody else comes in. And 3 wards with the Scuttle Crab is...
So Lemonation saw that they were walking up to this other side of the map, so they're going to feel very safe about doing dragon. You also notice that Hai is playing to this side of the lane as well. So because Lemonation saw them at the Raptor camp and walked through this brush and he assumes that there's not some sort of advanced mind game going on where they walked through the brush and like came around or some craziness. Instead, they're just playing to this side of the wave. Bjergsen's getting zoned out, and they're trying to take this dragon as safely as possible.
Substantially more experience on the side of TSM. And for a dragon, they get first shot at...
So Hai should be really ready for what's about to hit. This should be super obvious.
One of the most lethal ganking tools.
I mean, you know that Nami has left the top side, and it should be the top laner's responsibility to watch this right here. Hai is playing this way too aggressively. Right. He doesn't have to be in this position right now because there's so much danger of this happening, and especially with the timer. You know the 3.5 minute gank could come in right here with 4 people, especially given Nami's back timing. I think that was just a... It's not a very... I think he didn't have to use the flash right there either. He knew where Nami was. He could have just theoretically walked down if Bjergsen hadn't got that angle on him. So I think Hai mispositioned there a little bit.
Is if Hai... That's all credit to Hai there, actually, for avoiding that gank. Because Odd One is watching as well.
Oh, yeah.
But because he knows that the Gragas gank, early game, if he flash E body slams you for the stun, it's almost a guaranteed death because Bjergsen would charm him for sure. And when Santorin...
So they're setting up here to see if they're actually going to walk into lane as the wave hits. This could be first blood.
1-2 miss there. Dyrus is going to be able to...
They missed the skill shot. That's really bad, actually. Because they had the drop right here. Just straight up misses the skill shot. If that skill shot hits, I think maybe Santorin dies there since he doesn't have flash. Instead, that's Cloud9. Okay, 3-man bubble. You know, whatever.
And he stays alive with the potion just chugged at the right time.
If not for the three-man
Cloud9 really messed that
bubble
up.
from Lustboy, which he flashed in for.
Yep.
But Lustboy's really good for hitting that bubble.
Supporting everybody but Wild Turtle early on in this game.
Yeah.
So that entire sequence of events happened because of support skill shot accuracy.
Off and running. No
If
mistakes.
Lemonation had hit his, probably Santorin dies. And if Lustboy hadn't hit that 3-man bubble, probably Bjergsen dies.
Not too far behind, but he's been taking those corrosive charges a little too much. And High has that upper hand. 34 to 25 mid lane right now. So Turtle freezing away in this top lane. Shouldn't really see any trouble for quite a amount of time in the game here. So he should be big for TSM come mid late game.
And someone who is not very big right now for Cloud9 is actually Balls. Level 2 on Maokai, everything has gone against his farming early on in the game, which typically does not work out for Cloud9 when they need him as an initiation threat. Think about the very early jungle. Lustboy pushed him off of the Raptor camp. He couldn't share that. The first experience Balls actually got was sharing the wolves on the other side of the jungle. Then he never even got lane experience because the dive was shut down. He never got kill or assist gold. And now he's set up in a lane.
Balls also now has to deal with this problem of him being behind in terms of XP and CS because they didn't set up that kill properly. C9 really should have just been more decisive there with that attempt onto Santorin, especially since they should have known his flash was down. I think they could have committed even harder to that. They were kind of gifted that, honestly. TSM also didn't wait for Lustboy, so they were actually just having Lulu and Gragas there was pretty dangerous, especially with Gragas' flash down. I think a better team would punish them for that mistake.
Last half of the split as well as the series against Gravity. Santorin exhibits a large amount of control on the map on Gragas. Both from just his clearing, but mainly his gank potential and his consistency as a player. All coming in huge on the jungle Gragas.
Yep. We really haven't seen too many woes with these. Was really all of Santorin.
Yeah. Classic mistake. No. I mean, think of all the
Okay, how long is this pause going to go for?
this team.
It's played for. It's like this.
Howie's coffee was broken.
Hope he wasn't going to be able
To now the second place team. So said before, they do pride themselves on being able to
considered, but consecutively. You got to see
He actually spilled it all over his desk.
down 0-2. They were arguing.
It is why that was. Was it just because team amped up?
I don't know if fast. Got his keep.
Yes, he did. I was always a big proponent of fresh blood in a scene, being able to do very well, wanting it more, going even harder. Not that it has fizzled out for these teams.
What the? Are they really doing this again?
This level and caliber of play, a lot has been dodged out by Fancy Feet High, but even with 4 legs, he can't tiptoe out of that one. High goes down for first blood in the mid lane after a rinse and repeat follow-up after they blew his flash.
Ruthless right there, right after the pause. Now teams can
Legs, he can't.
TSM does this all the time. You have to know this is coming.
Proponent of
They blew your flash.
blood.
Now he feels safe because he at least has Maokai right here. But there's you only see one person on the map, so this could be a 3v4, right? You have no vision up here, you have no vision in their jungle whatsoever.
Scene, being able to do very well, wanting it more, going even harder.
So walking right back in with this wave is
Status is now
not
brings
a
them to this
good
level and caliber of
good
play.
idea, even though he does dodge the charm right there.
But even with 4 legs, he can't tiptoe out of that one. High goes down for first blood in the mid lane after a rinse and repeat follow-up after they blew his flash.
ruthless right there, right after the pause.
Literally the same thing,
Communicate.
with no difference.
Pauses like
Same amount of same amount of vision, same amount of information. They weren't set up for that.
As soon as we get back into the game,
Oh man.
punishes High heavily. Bjergsen with first blood is never a good thing for the enemy team.
Never a good thing. He also doesn't really have to just throw anything towards magic resistance right away, so he can go ahead and build a village.
So TSM is doing a good job of denying balls right now. Now Dyrus has an assist in addition to that extra gold. And we're continuing for that jungle follow. No one actually willing to break the freezes right now, which is interesting. And TSM trying for this, but Maokai has TP up, and he can just TP to the top side, especially since Sejuani's coming here right now. But they're going to give Meteos the farm instead, actually. This is interesting.
It's again unfortunate that this isn't going to the Maokai, who being
He could have TP'd with Meteos right there. There wasn't a lot of danger. Actually, let's see.
Not looking to push it too hard. Wait for that 6. Doesn't really have to just throw.
We're going to go back. He may not have had any idea after that gank where the Gragas is. But they know they started red side, so this timer, so they have a ward here. So they know that Gragas just walked in here. And I think the assumption that they're going to go for the red buff right now is probably pretty safe. Considering you know that what their timer on that is, because we saw Lemon walk in and check their jungle pathing. So I actually think this is pretty safe, because you know Meteos is at the red, so as soon as he gets there, it's possible to teleport top. Yes, it would give Dyrus a TP advantage for about 4 minutes, but
yeah, Mita's going to try and pick up that free farm. It's again unfortunate that this isn't going to the mountain.
yeah, they may want to save that TP for the dragon, but I think at this point you just need that. You need that farm.
As the TSM boat is still.
But Meteos could
And for good reason, TSM.
hit. He's going to hit 6 super soon. Oh, he hit 6 off that wave. Okay.
The first blood gave the goal.
And now they're just going to push it out together. And the Maokai is going to recall. Okay. I'm not really a fan of this. I think you can, if you teleport topside, you can get more farm onto the Maokai, and then still push it forward, and then just walk down to Dragon afterwards. Because it's not like Dyrus is going to take that turret super quickly or anything like that. We'll see how it works out, though. Maybe it was a good idea. It depends on how they play it. As long as they stick with this decision, then it can still be alright. No ward setup yet, really, for either team that well, considering we have 4 seconds to Dragon. This is a pretty late setup on both sides. That's actually good. They forced the wild growth.
Dyrus blows his ultimate.
Maybe the length of the chase scared him too much.
Yeah, it's like he's gonna have backup if he's being this.
So they know that Meteos is top, so it's just a free blue buff takeaway.
Be able to use here. Good timing to happen at Dragon.
Because of the length of the steal, though, TSM able to steal the blue buff as well as prop up the Dragon take. So while Dyrus' ultimate was unnecessary, Meteos' chase was even more unnecessary. I think Meteos was tunneling a little bit on giving balls.
Okay, well now we know that having that teleport up was not anything at all. Should have used it previously because they weren't going to actually make the decision to dragon fight right there. And Meteos was still stuck at the top side chasing Dyrus around, so Cloud9 not making the best decision so far this game.
Dragon in the lead. Giving them 600 gold. Staying out of the way of elimination here. Both supports about 6 in that bottom lane. This can start to get crazy. Junglers are hovering that bottom side of the map and already have had a bit of hand in the first bloods we've seen. Santorin being that mid.
And both Santorin and Meteos have gained.
Yeah, TSM's doing a really good job of dictating the pace of this game.
Awesomely in the semifinals. Santorin's Gragas ults were perfect, and when Meteos was on Gragas, he was landing great ultimates as well. We've seen Sejuani completely swing team fights.
But I wonder what Cloud9 is waiting for here. If they weren't going to fight
Those ultimates are used.
at all, or even try and set up for that dragon, and Meteos was going to sit topside.
When TSM has that
What is their decision behind that? Especially since they did get Dyrus' ult out immediately before that dragon and the blue buff steal occurred. Seems like they would have had an advantage. Here we go again.
If we keep doing that, it's something we'll be able to get. Just keep poking, keep gaining.
Well, they did get balls back into this game by having Meteos topside. They got him back in terms of farm, they got him back in terms of levels. He wasn't that far behind, granted, but still.
Raptor buff taking out the bottom ward.
It is quite helpful. So we've kind of reset in terms of parity. I mean, farm is pretty much the same across the board. And dragons are the same. It's just really that first blood that's making the difference. Yeah, Meteos is showing way too much right now. He's giving them so much information about his location, and Jinx is just able to cut through that tower really, really quickly.
TSM outplayed slightly in the early game, which put Balls in a hole. And instead of being Balls on his own, Cloud9 is putting so many resources into making sure he is a person.
I mean, this can work. Late game Balls is going to be way more impactful than Meteos is. With farm and with items. If C9 wants to send this super late, they're going to be pretty confident with their composition that they're going to just tank through all the damage. Because, obviously, their team comp is relatively squishy, except for Gragas as well. And as long as you don't give resets to Wild Turtle, they're going to have a really hard time actually cleaning up fights. So I understand that.
These turrets dropping now as we see the first one go down just a bit ago for Wild Turtle. Jinx can start approaching these turrets faster. It's going to be a bigger surge in gold. And those turrets are going to fall down real quick. Ericsson backing on a ward. Cloud9's going to be able to work off with any of this. They're all kind of in their own backing position themselves. So, didn't expect this slow first game, but both teams are definitely.
This is super boring.
Different than Unicorns who love that. Strategically, to put it in some finite terms. Honestly.
Oh, and for people asking if I'm going to do the Unicorns Fnatic match, there is no way I'm watching those games again. Those games are so bad. They're terrible. Europe's going to get smashed at MSI. That's my prediction.
They will be explosive, but don't expect them to just happen out of thin air.
Going to be difficult. Balls just on charging up that Rod of Ages, but Catalyst giving him a little bit of HP. It looks like maybe needed in what could be this.
I'm not. It's just not worth my time. I'd rather do VOD analysis of like some of the Chinese games, like LGD's games that I've already seen, but I want to take a look at a little bit more in depth. There's nothing to be learned from the Fnatic Unicorns games that I can't learn from watching it once, or from looking at it in slow motion. It's terrible.
Yeah. Cloud9's got to try and make a play here.
It's on Dyrus. That ultimate is still up for him. He can get the wild growth on. I don't think it's going to be enough as a Winter's Bite and concussive blows just equal out to the stun. And Dyrus goes down. So Cloud9 gets Dyrus. That ultimate is still
I mean, they get the kill here onto Dyrus, but if we look at it, like TSM is just getting further and further ahead at the moment. I mean, they're already up a couple K after that turret kill, and they're doing really well at swapping lanes and getting Jinx there. And Dyrus just TPs to his own death right here. I don't know. This is what I was talking about when we reviewed the, or when I was talking about on Summoning Insight when I was watching the Impulse versus TSM games. Dyrus' teleport decision making. He got himself killed a bunch in the Impulse games as well. There's no reason to do that. So basically just a free kill that you fed over to Cloud9.
But now that two big ultimates have been blown by Cloud9, TSM looking to maintain the pressure in the mid lane. Every time you put something into Dyrus, TSM will take from you something else.
Always.
This is really good by TSM. That's their pressure. Oh wow, great ult. But there's not any follow-up because Sivir's in the bottom side taking tier 2. But they're not going to actually trade for it, it looks like. Yeah, they only get it about 3/4 down. So TSM's doing really good work about taking down these outers. Now they're going to be able to control the dragon a lot better as well. Let's see if they can get some resets in these fights.
For a little bit longer, get the vision they need to make sure dragon is all covered.
Yeah. Nice play overall there by TSM. Not being dissuaded by Meteos' Sejuani ultimate because they knew there was a.
So this is a big problem too. You know, Dyrus helped with that push in the top side. Meanwhile, Balls is really starting to get ahead in farm.
Good distance away.
Rod of Ages is going to take some time to stack, so I guess they are trying to play the long game right here. Instead of going for the Righteous Glory.
Maybe a Righteous Glory from Lemonation. Cloud9 is trying to bide their time, but they're honestly in catch-up mode. They have been for a while, and it's very hard.
It's just another free dragon. Wow, they're just getting... Meteos is just sitting top this entire game. We'll see if this pays off. Now, they don't have to fight the dragons right now, and they should know that they've got this stronger composition in the late game that TSM probably isn't going to be able to burn through. So Cloud9's patience could really pay off, but they have to hold their turrets, and they can't with the low wave clear on high. Goodbye.
And this is exactly what we were talking about. Cloud9 is pushing the bottom lane. They leave an Urgot to stay in the mid lane. He can't clear a wave, so he's just a victim to any skill shots that actually land from TSM.
This is... I'm not sure about this. I think you need to hold more firm. They want to start taking down these tier 2s, but this is great. This is really good pressure play. This is good rotations from TSM.
out a lot himself and fared well against High in the mid lane. 30 CS up as both
Up 2 tier 2s for 1 tier 2.
Cloud9 is kind of squeezing these, I wouldn't say advantages, but
They just need to, Cloud9 needs to sit back. So if we talk about what Cloud9's doing here, like, they haven't,
players are being pushed on either their advantages. Small things towards
they're
Cloud9.
losing more turrets than they're gaining. They're not defending Dragon. If you're not going to go for Dragon, you need to just play defense. You can't try and trade here against the Jinx. It simply won't work.
From Cloud9, the map is opened up substantially.
Because you have to have that Sivir there or the Maokai there for some form of wave clear, particularly the Sivir. So TSM is doing a good job of fast pushing against this. I really like what we're seeing from them.
The turns aren't being traded if you're Cloud9. They want it to be a condensed game, a smaller game, so the tanks can actually find team fights again and again over knowable objectives. But when the
I mean, this next Dragon has to be the major contest of this game.
Somebody out before any of that happens. But they're not moving without safety. Always making sure wards are clear.
At least C9 is playing more defensively now, but I mean, their bottom side of the map is totally open.
Quite a bit ago. Trying to be still useful in this game after getting pushed around quite a bit. Good stuff. Still, that first kill onto Bjergsen is something that Santorin focused. Team Solo Mid wanted to make sure that High was not a factor and Bjergsen had an edge.
Santorin traded flashes with High early on in late phase. They got the return gank before High's flash was up. About 30 seconds before his flash was up, so
that's very
they were
true.
definitely keeping timers on that flash from High in the mid lane. And those are the only deaths of Cloud9 this entire game. They have been trying to avoid the pick potential of TSM, but in doing so have
and hopefully silence him as well in the process.
Okay, here they come for your last remaining turret. Oh, they may not get it this one. Oh, that's actually a huge waste of Gragas ult. And every other ult. They can't siege anymore. They may be dead. Oh.
what an awesome matchup of junglers right there. Santorin,
I actually think they could have gone on that one. I think Sneaky, if he ults right there, they get a bunch of kills. Because they're trying to isolate somebody, but this Maokai, which is getting pretty big, is not going to be the right target. It's a really good Sejuani ult too, coming in from Meteos. And look at that, there's a 3-man arcane smash that goes through. Sivir's coming up, the Braum is here. Does Braum have flash? Oh my god. Honestly, if Braum flash ults, if everybody flashes right here, I think they could have gotten this. I think there's actually a way they engage on that with Braum ult. It would have maybe been tricky, but now, basically because those 2 ults are gone, remember we talked about the compositions at the beginning of this game, there's not really much more that TSM can do. They're super vulnerable right now. If you can catch them now, you're in a really good position.
Very sunny outside, it seems, enjoying the matchup. Bit of heat out there as TSM put the heat on Cloud9. 20 minutes into this matchup, already approaching the last second tier turret. Bit of a TP coming in.
Good call from Cloud9.
Says, I am right on your heels. Who needs the wild growth? I got speed. I can give it to you. And it looks like they want a bit of the fight, knowing Lemonation's Glacial Fisher's coming out. They back out. They disengage for a second, and both teams now.
Poor execution though. There wasn't. The idea was so good, but Balls just gets super chunked before he even comes through. They're not there to fault. Meteos isn't here, and now Meteos doesn't have ult. But why would you TP if your jungler isn't there? You're TPing in. You're gonna expect a TP from Lulu in the bottom side, so you're probably gonna have. Best case scenario, it's a 4v4. Worst case, it's a 5v4. It's not. Meteos wasn't there. You can't go in. But the sentiment is right. You do wanna attack them when they don't have those very important ultimates up. They have to have Tidal Wave and Explosive Casco.
Sejuani or the Gragas could add to that one. And Ball's also TP'd in without home guard, so neither team wanting to fully commit to a fight there.
This is really awkward, actually, to watch.
Each other.
A lot of respect.
I think Cloud9 missed the good engage that they could have had earlier, and then tried to make up for it with that, but it wasn't a solid plan in the first place. The TSM did fine, leaving that scenario. They were perfectly safe without Meteos there.
Too worried about it here. have a birdie from Dyrus. Can't get it.
Sneaky farming pretty well. Matching Wild Turtle. CS for CS, but unfortunately Wild Turtle's got that kill on, so a 300 gold edge. Both these 80 carries, the main damage viewers for their teams throughout the year, if you look at damage dealt to champions as well as kills. Wild Turtle had more kills, deaths, and assists than Sneaky did in the regular season. Every category just plays crazy. Whereas Sneaky had a higher KDA and better CS numbers. Honestly, we're kind of seeing something similar in this match, but as much as we talk about Bjergsen and High, this game is just as much about Sneaky and Wild Turtle. These guys have both stepped up in really big ways this year. Probably the two best in the series.
You know what's funny is we're guaranteed at MSI, because both Chinese teams in the finals have Korean players. We're guaranteed, like, what is it? We'll talk about that in a minute. Oh my, holy cow. That was a great ult.
As Cloud9 is trying to get the cavalry to approach on this, and they cannot get through the choke point as TSM made their way out very fast after losing Bjergsen.
TSM is lucky to only...
That's great. That was really well set up. So let's talk about how that happened. So there are no wards here, and I thought the next dragon would be the major point of contest, because you have to do something if you're C9 in this situation. So they don't have any wards here, and there's a raptor buff on Meteos, so he knows that they at least did not have any wards right here. Okay, let's slow this down. What triggered his raptor buff, I wonder? I don't know, but this is such a good setup, right? Oh, if Lemon had his ult right there, holy shit. That's really unfortunate, because if Lemon has his ult after this, and he flash ults right now, like 4 people die. Easy. Easy. Because you have so many line abilities. You have the Braum ult, the Glacial Fissure, you have the Boomerang Blade and the Ricochet messing with everybody right here, as well as Arcane Smash. Because the Arcane Smash is going to come through here too once Balls gets in. I mean, Bjergsen just gets owned. TSM's really lucky that nobody else died right here. That should be a free dragon though.
They cannot get through the choke point as TSM made their way out very fast after losing Bjergsen. And they can
watch the Lust Boy flash. Okay.
What a hit from the ultimate from Meteos. TSM is locked up and now retreating as Cloud9 is trying.
Where was it? That was before. Oh, flashing back to the tidal wave? Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's not spectacular. It's a good move, though.
They cannot get through the choke point as TSM made their way out very fast after losing Bjergsen.
TSM is lucky to only lose 1 player.
Yeah.
After that initiation. Cloud9 going to try and push down this mid turret as fast as possible because there's a
I mean, he would have pretty much gotten this almost the same tidal wave regardless, but yeah, it was good. But C9, after chunking everybody out, should be able to get the turret and the dragon right now, so they get back into this game thanks to that setup. But TSM, yeah, that's what they were doing was so dangerous. Walking into that choke point with no wards in the enemy jungle, they kind of deserved to have that happen to them. Pretty disrespectful.
That specific corridor is actually where they want to catch a fight. TSM lost a fight in this spot to Gravity during the regular season against an Urgot.
Oh, he flashed the Sedge ult. That was really good.
Giant Sivir damage coming in as well. High is not even involved in that fight.
Yeah, you're right. If he hadn't gotten that tidal wave off, they probably would have. A couple more people probably would have died.
But it puts Cloud9 back in position in this game and critically gives them some time to set up defensive moves.
It's just a whole lot of high-level play coming out of that. Cloud9 got the engage they wanted, which they'll probably never get again. Most teams would have completely died in that situation, which TSM didn't actually die. They just
Sightstone,
right?
And 2
So
upgraded.
let's keep moving on.
Previously, Cloud9 was the team that did the double yellow trinkets because Meteos would like to put more.
I mean, TSM's...
And they get less vision.
One thing that hasn't been that great this game from either team is, like, deep warding has actually been pretty lacking. They didn't really take advantage of the lane swap to get vision. They mostly just tried to get ganks, and those ganks were successful, but they probably shouldn't have been. I think a more cautious team wouldn't have made those errors, and the vision actually would have been better.
Taking their time for right now, that is for sure. Gold is even right across the board with.
So no wards. This should
And
be.
kills.
Oh no,
Santorum
nice,
stepping
nice.
a little too close,
barrel.
but he's able to suck
It's
in
good
the
that you can
bit,
check bushes with Q like that.
From elimination. Cloud9 is now, you can see, kind of on the forefront here.
They should just start Baron.
Not afraid anymore. The team is grouped in mid, and they're looking for
They have to put some sort of threat down here.
Well, what's happened now is Cloud9 has successfully denied a lot of the vision. Good pink wards, good sweeping, one upgraded sweeper, two normal sweepers for Cloud9. But if we look at where TSM is going, they don't have good vision control. That's why they're having Santorin run in as the tanky Gragas with Lulu to shield him and try and get these wards. Cloud9 only wants
You're not going to be able to catch up to them. They will be able to kite you with this composition. So you just have to make them face check in and of as much as you can. Obviously, that's one of the strengths of Gragas in the jungle, is it is much less dangerous in terms of face checking.
Cloud9 approaches. These guys are just lining up for the fights. Good thing they cannot see Sneaky right now over at red. I'm pretty sure that would be a nice engage for Team Solo Mid to hit on. Stave this one off.
The thing is, it's very tricky for TSM to find initiation without vision control. If they're just walking straight up to Cloud9, they can't really get through the
Finally. They should have just started this earlier to force it.
What a bold Baron call here by Cloud9. I'd expect them to peel for a fight, but we haven't seen them find fights recently. We'll see here. Will they burn Sivarol?
Heismer Amana just popped through here. Big boosted damage for Urgot coming into this. Can they get her on the choppers without hitting? Righteous Glory doesn't really get him there.
That's it. Beautiful.
Man, Sejuani ultimate. If TSM can make it through
Good.
this, they got it. But Cloud9 is locking them down. Bjergsen on the outside. He gets swapped in with the position reverser. How is TSM still alive in this one? They are doing everything they
That was
can.
good. They should have just done that earlier, though. Like, realistically, they weren't going to be able to force a fight unless they went for this Baron right here.
We'll see here. Will they burn Sivarol?
Heismer Amana
And you have double Righteous Glory.
damage for Urgot coming into this. Can they get her on the choppers without hitting? Righteous Glory doesn't really get him there. Median with a five-man set.
You know what? Santorin doesn't use Righteous Glory. I think if he uses Righteous Glory, maybe TSM gets out of that. Because if we go back,
Sivarol.
Heismer Amana just
Right
popped
here.
through here. Big boosted damage for Urgot coming into this.
yeah, we're just walking around the traps. So one Righteous Glory was used from Braum right there, actually, right? And they used the locket. And Lustboy doesn't use Tidal Wave because Meteos actually gets like a really good Arctic Assault flash. That's very mechanically awesome. He really nailed that one. It's a really good play, but TSM was all bunched up for that at the same time. Balls also tries to flash to get into Wild Turtle. And then Tidal Wave goes this way, but it's too late. So no Tidal Wave used right there early. No Righteous Glory used either. And yeah, you can use it to re-engage that, though, is the thing. Because otherwise you don't get all caught like that, right, with Glory. The worst thing that you can do right there is to just clump up for that 5-man Sejuani ult. At the very least, Santorin can use Glory to toss in a cask, right? Because look at this, right? He throws Q. You can use Glory right here while the rest of your team runs away to walk this way and throw an ult at them. 100%. They have a ward in this brush. I mean, that's about as good as you could get for a Tidal Wave given the delay. TSM didn't expect C9 to be able to catch them with that kind of efficiency. And Sneaky's just wrecking everybody with ricochets. It's a good catch from C9 though. But that's what they had to do. They just had to commit to that Baron, take a little bit of damage, and then make sure they got TSM out of position.
He did the alt flash as well to make it point blank and faster. Beautiful initiation there by Cloud9, using their movement speed, catching everyone, and then running them down for the rest of the team fight.
Absolutely incredible plays here coming out of Meteos. Struggling in the top lane.
Yeah, Meteos has been really good on this Sejuani. I think his jungle pathing and his positioning was a little bit suspect in the early game, but in terms of team fighting, it's been excellent.
Game-changing plays right there. They walk around the chompers. Watch this. Ooh. Okay,
It's
so
a great play.
is he actually flash Q'd to get in point blank range and then just hit his ultimate? So he didn't actually instant cast the Sejuani ultimate, but the effect was the same because he was right next to TSM when it landed. The explosion radius stuns 5. At that point, Sneaky was able to get into the brunt of the TSM team without them getting protected.
And that's the thing about this composition. When they don't have Janna and you have to commit to one angle with a tidal wave, as soon as they split up like that, you only hit 1 or 2 people. It's just not anywhere near as effective. So the Janna ban actually working out really well for C9 here, I think. That was a good ban.
I can't believe he hit all 5 people. Like, TSM has been disengaging so well this entire game, and Meteos has landed one ult on 4 and another ult on 5. TSM does need to spread out a little bit. I think that's one thing we've learned here. Now with Baron Cloud9 trying to siege, it's going to be tough.
It is going to be very tough for TSM. Our prowess and his tank line can just get.
He's peeling back, getting the 3rd drag of the game.
Incredible way.
Okay, there's not really any objectives for TSM to take besides pushing up the middle.
Down a ton of turrets as well, and it's
This is a good push by TSM, though. At least try and force them off of the
individual members
dragons, because you have the tier 2 down already.
have been off of 4 to 5.
They're trying to take something even though the Baron was taken. This is strong play from behind from TSM.
I think Meteos saw him there.
Yeah.
Definitely had sight.
Yeah, they're actually going to get it, too. That was a really good call.
4 back times by Cloud9, they end up getting this 3rd dragon.
And it's still something that can close the door.
TSM's getting a lot better at playing from behind. It's a really good sign for them.
These guys are going to take each other to the late game. 3 kills for Sneaky now as he is really becoming a big factor over on the side of Cloud9.
So this Baron may not end up being too terribly useful for C9 unless they really want to commit to diving.
Dancer, but Sneaky completing his 3rd item faster. They also catch TSM out of win.
Cloud9
TSM
and yesterday back and forth. Cloud9
is busy clearing waves. What is this? You really need those Krugs? Is that important right now while they have Baron? I don't think it is. Yeah, they want to pull back right here, but they have a pink ward, so this is a safe recall location. And instead, they go take Krugs, while they know that C9 just backed and has Baron buff. They just gave up this inhibitor. This is terrible. They gave up this inhibitor turret for free, so they made a very smart decision about taking that dragon, and then tried to get the Krugs and the red buff, and that's not worth what happens to them. This is ridiculous.
They also catch TSM out of wits.
Wow.
And they push straight down. That's an inhibitor gone, most likely.
No, there's not really any reason to go for the jungle at this point in time. They had almost waited out that Baron buff too. Look, it goes off right now, right there. C9 had 1 minion wave with that Baron to make it work.
Wild Turtle going for the higher damage build of Phantom Dancer, but Sneaky completing it.
Sneaky now as he is really
They had 1 minion wave.
over on the side of Cloud9.
This is it. Look at that.
Wild Turtle going for the higher damage build of Phantom Dancer.
And they actually get the inhib turret. TSM had a legit shot to come back in this game before this inhibitor goes down.
Straight down, that's an inhibitor gone, most likely. Wow.
A lot of respect and a little bit out of position for TSM on that play.
Yeah, I think TSM was willing to concede a bottom turret and were just a little bit out of sorts with where they're going to be going. They actually have a lot of wards sprinkled.
Now part of this is that there was a big wave set up here. Because if we go back even further and look at what happens. So before Dragon, because this all stems from this moment right here. Because look at what Sneaky's going to do. There's a large wave developing in this bottom side before the Dragon comes up. So he's going to advance that wave just a little bit forward before they decide they have to go back and, mount some sort of base defense.
TSM has
And so TSM here, from this point forward, they don't see anybody. They have wards all in this bottom side jungle. So they should assume that these guys are all porting back, going back to buy, going back to make sure that they don't lose an inhibitor, right? There's some danger of somebody being down here in this brush, but you can go down and prune this wave immediately.
But they still have to be careful as that creeps up towards 5. Aspect of the dragon is still something that can.
So if you walk down here into the bottom side,
Too good. We have a long series here. We are only in game 1 and 30 minutes.
now this is pretty safe for Turtle just to walk up to and clear out with rockets.
What we were kind of seeing is a lot of these games.
But TSM ends up wasting a lot of time. And even though they made the good shot call initially, they make a huge, huge error right here. I do think that if TSM had played this out, if they had just given up this tower, then they actually still can win this game. But after the inhibitor goes down, it's all over. Because C9's only going to get stronger the longer this game goes on, because they're going to get tankier and tankier and tankier. And as opposed to TSM now loses an inhibitor and that turret anyway.
It is a little bit inexcusable that TSM gives up that turret so uncontestedly. But with that inhibitor,
That's really
that is mission successful
crap.
for Cloud9 with the Baron.
Man, I did really like their call after they got the Baron, though, to get that dragon. That was smart.
Like when the Baron responds.
It's just the decision making isn't consistently good.
Been the focus as well for both. Lustboy has focused the McHale's as well to get that position reverser off of whoever
Well,
High is going to be targeted.
it's also to just stop this Sejuani ult.
Yeah, that too.
One.
Hopefully you're not all 5 in it that time.
Please no.
So we'll almost have the Zanyas onto Bjergsen as well. Kind of just behind on core items that would make these fights a lot easier for themselves. Dyrus had that needlessly large rod, which he...
So now this should be a pretty routine closure. TP coming in. Turtle is by himself.
Shell on. This could be bad. This would be great for balls as well. He needs to get something to get back into this game. He's been benefiting from everybody else. Oh, they're going to give it to High.
Yeah, it's 2 instances in a row where Turtle's positioning has cost TSM pretty severely.
Where TSM couldn't trade something back, so they have clearly lost control of this game.
First off, not being there to defend the turret, and then second off, just
Trying to farm
giving up a death. So many wards in this bottom side jungle for
all because of
C9, and you know they can see C9 placing these wards too with their own wards, so
Sorry.
really pushing too far forward.
As far as transitioning to other lanes, not really to catapult them into objectives, but as TSM was going for in full 5v5 team fights, TSM, unless
Should be able just to bait the Baron now and do the same thing they did earlier again.
The game of Sejuani in the top lane was what TSM worked off of. They dropped all 3 outer turrets immediately. Like you said, no roaming. I think Bjergsen's and the team's focus was to take down High too much. Those 2 kills kept him to the 2nd tier turret, which easily becomes roam, right? After that first tier's down, you get the inner boards, you get all over the side lanes.
I is down 80 CS to Bjergsen. You can see
Yeah.
they shut down his Urgot, but yeah, without the focus,
Oh boy.
they're not dealing with other stuff. TSM scattering this time. No
Yeah,
5
playing
minutes
with
of
vision is
rotation.
super dangerous. TSM has to have with their like more pick focus composition, because they have to set up a pick. They can't fight these 5v5s at all. So the drop, once they get the drop on them, that's it.
Did not get the backup of his team right there. Re-engage.
Going out of Lustboy.
Nah, this is it. They're dead.
Coming in from Sneaky. One more shot. He is able to get Lustboy. Turtle falls. And Cloud9, they don't back up. They go right through the front door. And the Super Minion can make this the game for them.
High held on to his position reverser for so long. He
Early game from team.
so a fair
Yeah, I'm not surprised that TSM won that series. Even though they lost that first game, they still showed some really good shot calling, and there are just some more basic errors I think that you can go over in terms of playing around objectives with a pick composition that they